It's dreary outside. Let's make some minestrone soup. I know. I like to get all of my ingredients together so I can just throw it in the pot and be done. The recipe will be down in the description. Okay, I got my old rusty dusty Dutch oven pot here. It's got life in it. And I added some oil to it. I'm gonna come over here and grab my onions and my carrots all nice and chopped. Add them all in. Give them a little stir. Then I'm gonna go in with my celery. And my salt and pepper. And give that a stir. Okay, right here, you're gonna make sure that you have all of this in here, meshed, simmered, stirred in, and you want this right here. This is where your money maker is. You're gonna let this build up in flavor on medium low for about 10 to 12 minutes. This is what's gonna make your minestrone different than everybody else. You hear that timer? It's up. 12 minutes, ready to move to the next step. Okay, so now we're gonna add the garlic and let it go for about another 1 minute. And so here's this little fancy garlic thing I have. So instead of chopping my garlic, I'm gonna load them in there. I'm gonna close this thing up and look at this. And get all that garlic in there. And then I'm gonna grab one more piece and stuff that one in there. And you'll see that garlic in there. You're gonna stir that garlic in and literally give it about 1 more minute. That's all you need, 1 more minute. Then we're gonna go ahead and add in this tomato paste. So after you let that sit, that tomato paste, about 3 minutes, then you go ahead and you pour in your crushed red tomatoes. And we're gonna stir this and let this simmer for about 5 minutes. This is really gonna build up your flavor. 5 minutes is all you need. Okay, so we let that crushed tomatoes, and get it right, put in there and simmer for 5 minutes, okay? And now we're gonna add everything, almost everything else. We're gonna add all of the broth. Remember to look at the recipe, follow the recipe. This serving I'm making makes about 6 to 8 cups of soup. So we're gonna put all of that in there, okay? And then we're gonna do something really good. We're gonna add ye old bay leaf. And then we're gonna add the seasoning mix. The seasoning mix here, you got thyme. In here, some crushed red pepper, some oregano. And I added a little bit of basil. We're gonna add all of that, okay? And then one of the secret weapons to make it taste really ancient Italian, I should say, is this is a real rind of a Parmesan Reggiano. Not that stuff you be getting in the store that's flaky, made of everything else but Parmesan. But this little rind right here is going to give it some nice flavor. We're just going to sit that in there, give this a stir, and we're going to bring this to a boil and let it simmer for about 20 minutes. Okay, That was supposed to simmer down for 20 minutes, okay? One thing about cooking is that you have to take your time. You just add the potatoes. We're gonna let those potatoes cook for 5 minutes, and then we're gonna add the other ingredients. Okay, so now you can look at that deliciousness building up. It's gonna be nice and bite-sized, easy to digest. We let the potatoes go in for 5 minutes. Now keep in mind, we're gonna layer these vegetables going in, and the reason being is because you don't want your veggies to be mushy. Now we're gonna add zucchini. Got a little bit of green cabbage, red cabbage in there.
Don't you mean purple?
Shut up. You know what I mean. And it may look like a lot, but it actually is not a lot. Of course, you can adjust this based off of your preference. But for this particular one that I'm making here, you need a whole zucchini. But again, you can look at this in the area below for the recipe. And we're gonna put those zucchini in. And we're gonna add some green beans here. And we're gonna let those cook. Now, I cheated and I used some frozen organic green beans, but we're only gonna let this stuff simmer right here because if you know anything about green beans and zucchini, they will cook fairly fast. So we're gonna let those go in there for 5 minutes again. And then we'll come back and we'll add the last ingredients, I promise. And then you're gonna let it simmer and you're gonna have a good pot of soup. Okay, so we are nearing the end of this soup. You see the green beans have started to float to the top. We're gonna add the cabbage. Now, a lot of people use regular cabbage. I'm looking to put as much nutrients in this pot as I can. So, I'm using purple. Plus, I like the way it tastes. It's almost like a little meaty taste. Even though there's no meat in minestrone. Little history of it is that it came from a place where folks was like, this is what I grew in the garden during harvest, and I'm gonna make a soup of it. And whatever you grow, you can kind of make it minestrone, or it's technically minestrone. Whatever you have in your garden, you put it in the pot, you simmer it down. So, add in the last of those. And then we're going to add in our cannellini beans and kidney beans. And then we're going to be done to let it simmer for 10 minutes after that. One of the biggest things that this is a cook secret, I'll tell you. Instead of adding the pasta directly to your minestrone, you're going to boil your pasta first. So if you see over here, I've already started some pasta water boiling. So I'm gonna pour my little noodles in there, and then we'll have those on the side to add to the soup after the soup is done, a little bit at a time per bowl. The reason being is because your noodles will start to dissolve a little bit or get soggier than if you prepare them separately. Okay, And here we go with the beans. And yes, people grow beans in their garden. I didn't this season though. We just take those beans, add them in there, give them a little stir. And we're gonna let all of this simmer into each other for about 10 minutes. By that time, we should have our pasta done. And then you can either let this sit and simmer for a few hours, or you can dip right into it. It really depends on how you are or what you want to do. The other thing is, if you let it simmer, the longer it simmers, the better it tastes. If you sit it, if you make it today and want to eat it tomorrow, overnight is even better too. But you can certainly eat this as soon as it's done. So yeah, it's a labor of love. It takes about an hour and 30 minutes to make. Once you chop everything up and just follow the directions when you go in, you want to make sure you give it enough time to simmer so the flavor can build up. And that's about it. Enjoy. Look at that. And then we're just gonna have the soup, and we're just gonna take a little bit of the noodles and sprinkle them right over the top. And you can stir those in if you want. You can put a little bit of parsley over it if you like, or whatever you need. You see my oats over there, but get a little taste of that. All praise be the Most High. Yeah. That's the business right there. Now, do whatever you need, but if you want to eat light, but taste heavy, just a move. All right, time to go find me a movie.